There's two things I wanted to do in this video. One was to do a range test comparing the new GTS series to the GT and see how they compare, not only the range itself, but how the two boards compare. And the other thing was to give you an update as to what happened to my GTS after it bricked in my last video, and I sent it back to Future Motion. So real quick as to that, I did report it to Future Motion on Sunday night and was contacted by Future Motion on Monday before noon, and they immediately provided me with a RMA and a prepaid shipping label. I did pack up my GTS and sent it back to Future Motion on Monday afternoon. Tracked it. The board got to Future Motion on Wednesday morning. By Wednesday late afternoon, I received an email from Future Motion indicating the board had been repaired and was being sent back to me. I received the board back from Future Motion on Friday. So very, very quick turnaround for them. I did ask them what had gone wrong with the GTS, and their response was, I quote, "Our technicians found that your GTS series controller module was not performing up to specifications, so the entire controller module was replaced with a brand new one under warranty. Your board was tested extensively after repairs to ensure that it is performing to specifications." So whatever that is, that's what they did supposedly to my board. I have been writing it since then. The range test video, this range test video was done after the repairs were done on the board, and there's no problem so far. I've ridden it about almost 100 miles. So for purposes of the range test, these two boards are pretty much stock, except that the GTS, I added rail guards. On the GT, it does not have the stock tire. It has actually the same tire as the GTS, that is the Future Motion Performance treaded tire. So they both have the same tire. And other than that, the GT also has rail guards and a Float Life Cush rear foot pad and flat kick foot pad on the front. And so that's other than that, they're stock. The range test was done on a route that was a circular route, included about 50% trail, 50% pavement riding. It was about 18 and a half miles in length, and I rode both boards, first the GTS and then the GT board the next day. But the same rider, same tire, and pretty much stock boards. I did weigh both boards, and interestingly enough, my GT board came up about 3 pounds heavier than the GTS series board. So, not 2 pounds. I don't know why my board was a little bit heavier. My old GT board was a little bit heavier. Other than that, that's what we did, and as you will see in this range test, there was a difference in the battery, and the battery did go down faster on the GTS, no question, than the GT. How much of that leftover battery is usable in the GT as compared to the GTS? That's somewhat a question. I think that I could probably get more use out of the battery, as I could run the GTS battery to a lower percentage and still get performance to keep riding on the GTS as opposed to the GT. The GT, my experience has been that once it gets below 20%, it becomes iffy, the yellow light goes on, and by the time it gets to 15%, it's pretty much red light, and unless you're going downhill, it's not going to let you ride anymore. So with that in mind, I hope you enjoyed the video.
A couple of things I forgot to mention. I charged both boards overnight prior to the ride to be sure they reached 100% of the battery. Also, I checked the tire pressure of both boards to make sure they were the same at 12.5 psi. Complete ride stats for both the GTS and the GT will appear at the end of the video side by side, so you can compare for yourselves. Lastly, also I will give you my opinion as to whether it was worth it to get the new GTS. As you can see from this footage, I chose this route because it has a wide variety of terrain, from paved flats to single track mountain bike trails or dirt trails with a fair incline and some good elevation gain and loss. In fact, over the course of this ride, there's approximately 1,000 to 1,100 feet of elevation gain and loss.
So, is it worth buying a GTS? That's a very personal decision, and all I can offer is my opinion, and that's just all it is, an opinion. And for me, I don't ride pushing the limits of the board. I don't ride really tough trails. I don't bomb down mountain bike trails at 20 miles an hour, or even 17 or 15 miles an hour. Probably going somewhere around 13, 14 miles an hour, when I'm going fast on a mountain bike trail. And that's pretty fast for me. I don't do a lot of tricks, and I ride probably just as much pavement as trail, though I really enjoy the trails. So for me, the decision to buy the GTS, I was really on the fence a little bit. I like the idea of having more power and more torque, but I'm not sure if I could really make use of that power and torque for the riding I do. So I really wasn't sure how much this would really benefit me. Also, I was concerned about the reduction in range, as we've seen in this video. There's definitely some reduction in range, and definitely the battery does go down faster than on my GT. The percentage goes down faster. So that's a concern. And I do live in a fairly mountainous or hilly area where there's a lot of hills, ups and downs, and some steep hills definitely on any ride I take, whether it's on pavement or on trail. But I'll tell you today, and I've ridden the GTS now about 100 miles, and I'll tell you today I took it out on a mountain bike trail that I had tried on my GT several times and was never able to go up that trail. very rocky, narrow, single track, lots of steep areas on the trail. But on this GTS, I did it. First time, no problems really. Did have I jumped off the board a couple times, but it really wasn't that bad. And I made it all the way to the top. I ran around, there's a trail on the way back on the other side, went down that trail. Again, that's a trail that on my GT, I have come up from the other side, which is easier to come up, and taken that trail down. And that was an iffy trail for me. For my level of ability, that was an iffy trail. This time on the GTS, it wasn't too bad. I felt a lot more comfortable, a lot more stable. I felt that my limit sort of had gone a little bit further with the GTS than I had on the GT. And for that reason, that made me feel a lot better about getting the GTS. This is really a board that I'm going to reach for. It's going to be my preferred board because of that, because it makes me feel more comfortable, more stable, and that I can do a little bit more than I thought I could do when I ride the GT. And you know, that's my personal opinion. And if you ride lots of long rides, you know, 18, 20, you know, plus miles, then maybe this is not the best choice for you. Maybe that's when I would choose my GT as a preference when I went on a long ride like that. But for me, I don't make those rides very often. So it's not something that I would encounter too often. I think my preference now is going to reach for the GTS. Now, just because it gives me that extra bit of comfort and extra bit of confidence in riding. And so for me, I think it's worth it. For you, make your decision. I think you can make your decision, and it may be worth it for you or it may not. But either way, enjoy riding, and I'll see you in the next one.